Hello and welcome to the Sisters for Fitness Wellness Show. I'm Stephanie Gaines-Bryant. Our guest today is Artensie Flowers, and she's the founder of Beyond 45 Jewels. Now, it's so glad to have you here. I did a program with you a couple of weeks ago,
Yes.
and you specialize in empowering African American women. What made you decide to develop this organization?
So my organization is called Beyond 45 Jewels, and there's a story behind that. I am a middle-aged woman. When I turned 45 years old, I realized that 45 is a young age. That is the age in which my mother passed away. So when I turned 46, I decided to start celebrating each year of life. And so that's where the name Beyond 45 was born. And I added jewels onto the name because my mother loved jewelry. So I decided that I wanted to empower myself and other women my age to live life on purpose because life is short. I mean, I really realized that when my mother passed away at 45, and when all of a sudden I was 45, I'm like, that is young.
And that is really a young age.
Yes, that is a young age, and I felt really a sense of urgency. And so I just started, I started when I turned 46, I started having empowerment parties, what I call empowerment parties. They started at my home. I'm now in my 9th year. The one that you helped me out with a couple of weeks ago was my 9th event. And I just bring together women from, middle-aged women, mostly middle-aged women. And we have different motivational topics. And my goal is to empower all of us to live life on purpose and with a sense of urgency in this next phase of life.
Now, it's an interesting story how you got the people to come to the event. Tell us about that.
Yes, so I'm actually a Bowie resident, and I had been living in my community about, I guess at that point, maybe 12 years, and I really didn't know my neighbors. So what I did literally was stood in my front door, and I said, every house that I can see from my front door, I'm going to go and knock on the door and invite the woman of the household to my my party.
Bold move.
Yes. And that's what I did. And that's literally how I got to know my neighbors. I knew one or two, but I did not know the number of neighbors that I know now who actually look forward to the event every year now. Because I literally knocked on their door and invited them to my Beyond 45. They didn't really understand that at that time. Beyond 45 party. It wasn't a birthday party, but it was a celebration of 1 year of life. And for that first event, I had a motivational speaker in my home, in my living room, and I think about 15 to 17 women showed up. And, we just had a whole empowerment session. And since then, that annual event has taken on a whole new life.
How do you think of the themes for each year?
Yes, so the themes are, along the way, because I have been trying to figure out ways to come up with different themes, I decided to go and take some life coaching courses. So during the pandemic, I enrolled in Anne Arundel Community College, and I started life coaching training, and I became a certified life and engagement coach through their 1 year program. So I think of the themes based on how I'm feeling at the end of the year in December. So my parties my annual events take place every year in March. So around December or January, based on what I feel I need, or maybe, like some of my friends and coworkers, other middle-aged women are experiencing at that time, that's kind of how I come up with the theme. And I'm almost always on point because I know if I'm feeling it, and I can see others that are kind of feeling the particular theme, it usually is a hit. And so some of the things we've had vision board parties. This year we talked about preserving your history, and you were instrumental in helping us help women encourage them to tell their personal stories so that they can preserve their history for their, their families. We've had Queen for a Day, and that was a big event, a big hit. We wanted, I laid it out where the women didn't have to do anything. We treated them like a queen for a day, and they were served all day. I had a photo booth, and so when my guests leave these workshops, they're very energized. They're energized. They're empowered to live life on purpose and to go and achieve their goals. As a matter of fact, from the vision board party, I had at least 5 guests who went on and literally started their own business as a result of being encouraged by the speaker that we had at the event.
Now, these women are neighbors, but who are these women? How would you describe them? Are they professional women? Are they stay-at-home mothers? Mm-hmm. Who are these women? Are they married, divorced?
So it's a mixed bag, but all of which are professional, middle class, I would say, women. And because a lot of them are my neighbors, a lot of them literally are my neighbors. But as a result, my neighbors have invited their friends. So they have invited even more neighbors. In fact, you're one of my neighbors.
Yes, I am your neighbor.
You're my neighbor, even though we met.
Yes, and our story is even incredible. When you invited me to present, you had no idea that I was your neighbor.
I had no idea.
And then we started talking, and it's like, oh yeah, I live here. You're like, no, but I live here. And isn't that absolutely incredible? You just never know.
You just never know, and that's the power of it. The power is, I go for what I feel like all of us we need. And I felt like I felt like we needed someone who was focusing on mindfulness, who would focus on helping us, be able to share our story. So I went to Google. I Googled. And when I Googled, you came up. And so last year I did the same thing. I did a blind reach out and say, hey, you represent what I'm trying to do this year. I really want you to be a part of my event. And little did I know that you were right around you were in my same subdivision, actually, and you were a hit. You were a hit for the show, and that's what I want to bring to my, I call them my jewels. That's what I want to bring to my jewels. Middle-aged women, I want them to feel very empowered, and so they can go on and do what they want to do for this next phase of their lives. Remember, I focused on middle-aged women, although all women are invited, because I just feel like we have lived most days already than the number of days that we have ahead of us. And so I don't want to waste another day doing anything that is not in alignment with what my purpose is in life. And that's what I encourage others to do.
Now, you had the theme of telling your story, the importance of us as women, because everybody has a story. Everybody has a different story. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about your story. Where are you from?
I am from Birmingham, Alabama. So I was born and raised there, and I've been living in Bowie for 23 years, almost 24 years now. I say that I'm a Southern girl. I am. I just kind of live in Maryland, to raise my family and for my career. I work for the federal government. I've been working for the federal government almost 24 years in the time that I've been here. I'm a scientist by training. So my name, for my business is Dr. Art. I have a PhD in pharmacology. And so as a life coach, though, I'm known as Dr. Art rather than Dr. Flowers.
It's interesting, they're two very different careers. How do you blend the two?
Well, and so I am in public health. So my career now, I'm a public health professional. So in my mind, all of this deals with people. It's all about people, and it's all about encouraging well-being, health, and safety from the public health perspective, from a population perspective, from beyond 45 at the individual perspective. So to me, it's all connected. It's all about promoting health and well-being.
you know, African American women are the least likely to take care of themselves physically and mentally. How do you think your organization helps to do that? And what do you think are some of the major issues that are confronting us? Some of us are taking care of our kids and taking care of our parents at the same time. Some of us, those career issues. What do you see?
So that's another reason I am focusing on middle-aged women, not just because I'm middle-aged, but because we really do have, and this is a time in our lives when we really are facing a lot of new issues or new things. There some good, some bad. Like you said, some of us, like myself, my kids are on their way out of college, so they're leaving, you know, my nest. My oldest daughter just got her first apartment, and so that's a life change. Some of us are getting married at this time. Some are getting divorced. Some are getting sick. Some are having to take care of parents. You know, so there are a lot of different issues. So I think that women, African American women, and especially middle-aged women, we're just at a crossroad in life where we have to make a lot of decisions. And some decisions are hard, and so we end up not focusing a lot on ourselves and our personal well-being, because we're busy taking care of others. We're busy taking care of others. There are a lot of women who are doing it alone. You know, they're doing it on their own. They don't have the help that some others may have. And so I just think that we're often faced with health issues. We're faced with some of these unique challenges that perhaps other people in our society don't have to face. And so we have to do intentional things that help us all focus on ourselves.
Now, you're someone who motivates others. What do you think are the first steps in doing that?
The first step in
motivating people to pursue their own dream, their own whatever it is that's for them.
So as a life coach, one of the things that I focus on is asking questions, powerful questions. And so from my perspective, we have the answers to our questions within. And so the first thing that we have to do is answer the questions honestly, that we're being faced with. And so I think the first thing we have to do is kind of open up. We have to open up our minds and be flexible, just be open to the possibilities. And the first step to that is just kind of being accepting of, well, I may be at this place where I need help. I may need help, and let me just explore the possibilities. So I think what I like to say, I help women use their own inner wisdom to come to the answer to the questions that they're being asked in life.
Are the questions individual to the person you're dealing with, or are there some general life questions that you ask?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little both, but it's a little both, and if I'm coaching, it's definitely centered around whatever you're sharing with me, whatever the individual is going through, whatever the individual may be experiencing, it becomes very individualized. So it's not a one size fit all. It is definitely, because the answers that we all have within are based on our own personal histories, our personal experience, our personal goals, so it becomes very individualized when we're doing one-on-one. However, as you saw during my workshop, you can also do it in a group setting. You can in a group setting. I think that the benefits of being around other women, and especially others that may share some of your similar experiences, is that you realize that you're not alone. You realize that there are others in this room that could help you understand what you may be feeling, or what you may go to sleep at night with on your mind, because they too have shared that they are experiencing those things. And so I think the beauty of being able to have a workshop, which is what I do a lot. I have a lot of, I do workshops all the time. The advantage of that is that you're in a room with a group of women who are at the same stage and phase in life, and they can share just one little nugget with you that could carry you for the rest of your life, or that can carry you through the storm that you may be going through, or it's just that one bit of motivation that you needed to go to the next step. And it's all about just taking one step at a time and moving forward. And so I just think that, it's a mixed bag, whether, we're focusing at the individual level or we're focusing at a group level.
It was really refreshing to see the women feel comfortable enough to open up and share their most personal thoughts, their ideas, their experiences. And they also seemed to feel that they were being heard. How important is that?
That is very, very important, because sometimes that's the only thing we want, is to be heard. We just want someone to hear us, to understand what we're saying. And so I think it's very important. And you're right. Of course, many of those women have been coming, as you could see, have been there since day one. But I also had several new women who attended this year, and they were motivated. And so it's just, I create a very safe environment. I say that up front. This is a safe environment. It's confidential. What we share in this room is only for us in this room. So when you walk out, we don't have to worry about it going beyond what's in this room. I create those environments. My goal is to create an empowering experience so that you can feel it until we meet again.
You also had tools, and I think you probably have different tools each year.
Yes.
This year, you used the tool of a bow tie.
Yes.
Or a necktie.
Yes.
And it was tied in a particular fashion.
Yes.
Why did you choose the necktie as your symbol?
Oh my goodness, the necktie was so fun. It was so fun. And so we took, I went to thrift stores and bought up all of the just a regular male necktie. And my best friend and I, she really is the one who's the genius in terms of knowing how to tie these neckties. But she ties them up, and she make them very, in a way where for females to wear, where you can wear it as a piece of your clothing. So I usually use, as a part of my coaching, I use jewelry as a tool. So jewelry can go so deep when you look at it.
Why?
Beyond. Because when you look at it beyond just a fashion statement, I do a lot of work with natural stones. And so when you think about a natural stone, and then you can relate it to life, because a natural stone, a diamond was just a rock in the ground at one point, right? But when you take that diamond or that rock out of the dirt and you kind of dust it off and you shine it up and you polish it, it becomes valuable. And so I take natural stones all the time during my coaching session, and we look at that stone and we say, what is it, when you look at this stone, what is it that you see? And I get a lot of answers like, I see that it's a little rough around the edges. I see that it has different colors. I see that it has different shapes. I see that, some of the stones are clear. I see that some of it is a little clear, some is a little cloudy. So, and then we relate that to life. Like sometimes we are, depending on where we are in life, we're a little rough around the edges. Sometimes we are not clear, but if you keep looking at it and you turn it towards the light, you look at it from different angles, it becomes a very valuable and beautiful stone or jewel or you, right? And you become that precious stone. And so when my clients leave out of this my sessions, they never look at that necklace the same. And that's what happened with the ties. So this year I use, neckties. And so the ties were all tied up in different bungles or whatever. And so as you saw, some people, I just let people just choose, what they wanted, what they would naturally gravitate to. But by the time it was over, some of those ties represented domestic violence because of the purple, the color. Some of it represented, some of the bold colors, represented where they wanted to be, sunny and bright. Some of them, and the quote that I remember the most from at the end of the session, where we all had ties, right? We all had a necktie. We all had assigned a story to that tie. It was not a male tie anymore. It was not a male tie. It wasn't even a fashion statement. It really became a personal statement. And the quote that I remember at the end of the session is when one of my guests said, these ties are the ties that bind us all together. And when you think about that session, the workshop, and all of the personal stories that everyone was sharing, and that everyone had assigned a meaning to their particular necktie based on all of the questions and the discussions that we had. When you walk out of there, if you see one of the guests, say like at the neighborhood store, you really will think like we're tied together. We're tied together. So, and it's just based on that one night of that experience. And it could be also based on something that she may have shared that you could relate to. So I really do try to use tools, and it's jewelry and now it's ties, and it could be anything. But where you can look at it and it can be a beautiful thing to you, but you and only you will really know what that means to you and how it motivates you to move forward.
Now, what that tie symbolized to me, neckties are usually thought of as something for men.
Yeah.
The way the tie was tied when we selected them, the tie can be for anybody. It doesn't. We are the ones who have said, "Oh, this is a man thing," but at that moment, it was whatever you wanted it to be.
Yes, exactly. And that's how it is in life. And so, and that is also how value is assigned. So when I gave the example of the diamond or the rough rock in the ground, it's you can go find a rock right now in the ground. It has zero value unless you assign the value to it. And that's how it is when it comes to us and things in life. The value that you place on it that is how it becomes valuable. So just like you can assign value to something, you have to also learn how to devalue things and not allow allow those things to overtake your mind. And so that's also part of my coaching practice, is to get us to, especially at middle age, to get us to de-emphasize some of these things that's weighing us down and that's making us not live a fulfilled life. One of my favorite slogans is, life is too short to be unsure, unhappy, and unfulfilled. So I try to help us de-emphasize certain things and raise the value in other things that pertains to moving forward, fulfilling your personal and professional goals. So yes, the tie can mean, society has said that it's for a man, but we have reassigned the value of that tie, and we can all walk around with it, and it means something completely different than anybody could have ever thought that it meant.
So where's the book? When we're going to see the book?
The book is actually coming. Thank you for asking. The book is coming. It's because why? This year was about us telling our personal history, right? And sharing our stories. So again, like I said, everything that I do, I bring others along. So this year it was about sharing your personal story, her story. We also did a nod to Women's History Month this year in March. So I don't ask I try to be the client that I want to coach. So I do not ask my clients to do something that I'm not willing to do. So I too have homework assignments. So I too have to do things. 'Cause remember we walked away with our personal storage boxes.
Yes.
And that was also, in addition to the ties, we had personal storage boxes. I gave everyone, an assignment basically. Hey, go about and start collecting your memories. Put them all in one place. Put them all together so that your history could be told and known 100 years from now. So I have to do the same thing. So it's an assignment for me. So the book is coming.
Speaking of that, my father just passed, and we were going through some things at the house. My mother passed in 2019, and we came across a Bible where she had written notes over the years in that Bible. And one of the notes, the incident happened over 50 years ago. But can you imagine seeing that 50 years later? She's no longer here. The life that has been lived since then. How the issue was resolved. I mean, it is so, you can't emphasize that enough.
Cannot.
To keep those memories for your children.
Yes, and I understand the Bible because we have one, and my mother and her mother wrote in that same Bible. So however you need to document your history, it's important to document it. Of course now we have technology, and I say make it simple. Whatever, that's why I gave storage boxes. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be sophisticated, complicated if that's what you're into. But it could be as simple as writing a note in your family Bible, or I think one of my guests, actually I know one of my guests shared one of the ways that she's documenting history. She's collecting recipes for her daughter, like from family members, and so her family members have collected all of these written recipes. So what a good story is that? That's a really good. I have purchased cookbooks before that are just kind of, that have all of the family recipes. So that is another great way of preserving your family history and your traditions or whatever. But it's a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing to write notes to yourself. It's a powerful thing to write notes to others. You can write letters to others. It's a powerful thing to do what you're doing right now. Like a part of your history right now is like your passion is to focus on fitness for women, and you want to share it with the world, and you're sharing the stories of others. So you're documenting your history in real time right now as we speak.
Well, guess what? We are looking forward to that book, and I want to be the first person you talk to.
Okay,
it's written.
It's coming.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. You're welcome.
You've been watching the Sisters for Fitness Wellness Show. I'm Stephanie Gaines-Bryant. Artensie Flowers.
Yes.
So glad to have you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And she's from Beyond 45 Jewels, LLC.
Yes.
We'll give that information at the end of the show.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a great day, everyone.